video, the fourth, of our Path of the Data course, this will be covering data models. This would be the L portion of the ETL pipeline in Celonis, the load portion. And then for the kind of special sauce in process mining, what it also does in Celonis is defines the joins between the tables so that the PQL in Studio can automatically do that for you. So we're in our training app dev environment, our Aardvark data pool, and this zero data model loads is what we're going to be talking about today, as well as this blue data model. So it's both in the data processing and the output. So you can say the load portion of it, we're defining the joins, and then we're also defining the foreign keys. If there needs to be, we'll be defining the event log merging, anything like that, data model parameters. And then it builds off the data storage. It creates kind of a polished query engine that then gets linked to Studio. So that's this portion over here. So the query engine is what is the process data model in memory. So once it's loaded, PQL can make queries much faster. All right, so to make a data model, we're going to click Create Data Model. And you have to select the tables, so video test and video case. Video case from the last video, I created this, it's just the case key. So it's going to act as our case table. The difference between the event log and the case table is the activity table is the N to the activity or event, the case table is 1, right? So the data model is all using a Snowflake data structure format. So it's all 1 to N data connections. So for the case table, it has 1 row in it that corresponds to N rows in the activity table. So the step that we're on now is the activity table definition. So there's 4 steps here. First is each one corresponding to a different column that you have to specify. So first is case key. It's our case key right there. Next is activity. See, it's already highlighting based on the data type. So now timestamp event time is what we want. And then so the last step is sorting. We're going to skip this here, it's optional. But for sorting, if 2 activities have the same exact timestamp, the sorting value is what then puts them in order. So if you have perhaps some automated activities that are all happening one after another, you can sort those into common sense using the sorting value. Leave that blank for now, click finish, and we're going to get brought into the data model configuration kind of UI. So thank you, the data model's been created successfully. So the video test, it has this A button on it. It's the activity table designator there. A couple lay of the land things first. All the tables are going to show up in this dotted box on the left hand side. You'll have this missing foreign keys error if any table is left in this box by the end of setting it up. The event log auto merge, that's when you have multiple event logs. So you had multiple activity tables here. We'll cover that in a later course. Then you can graph list, just different ways of viewing. I prefer the graph way. Add additional tables and then make a foreign key, which is similar to this button here. So I actually prefer doing this. So you click new foreign key and then you want to connect to this table. So now it brings up this view, which is the foreign key settings view. You'll note that it lists all the columns and then it has this swap tables button. The swap table button refers to the 1 and the N. So right now it's actually the wrong way. This was great. This is a great example. So video test, that is actually our event log. You see how it has the activity, case key, event time. This only has the case key. This is our case table. So we're going to want to swap that because the case table should be our 1. So now we're going to click case key and it wants to connect to the fact table here. So we're going to click on case key and then you click save. So now this is defining the joins. It's going to pop up here. You can move this around and when you get more, you can build it out with more and more tables. Okay, so it's set up, it's defined, now we need to load it. So to do that, you're going to go up to this second header here, the data loads. Right now there's no data model load in progress, so you're going to click load data model. This will take a few seconds. We only have like 33 rows in our activity table, so it won't take long. it is directly, the length of it is directly proportional. And this is a good error. So there's duplicates on both sides of the specified key relationship. So this is probably the most common error that you're going to get loading a data model. This means that instead of having a 1 to n relationship, it's actually an n to m relationship, whereas there's arbitrary number on both sides, so duplicates. So it's a really easy fix, and I'll walk you through that. In this situation, it's how I set up the case table. So here I say create table video case as select case key from video test. We are just missing a distinct here. That's important. So then it's a 1. We only get 1. So I'm just do a quick drop table. If exists video test, video case, excuse me, and run this. So now instead of having the number of rows basically to the activities, now it's to the number of cases. So I'm just going to save that and then go back over to the data model. And so now go back to data loads, load data model. So this time left will kind of estimate based on the previous loads. If you are loading more and more data each time, you will always see this message right here, load takes longer than expected. It's not really an error message. It's just going to show up because it's basing it off historical data. So it's always going to say that. So this is great. Our data model loaded successfully. There was no error messages. This is the currently loaded data model. And the load time. So if you have a couple loads that errored out, this will go back to the last green status one. And you can see the details here, what tables were loaded, and then how many rows were loaded for each one. So here you see we had 12 rows in the video case since we did the distinct. Okay, so last couple things here before we go into Studio in the next course. We have the calendar options. This is not enabled by default, but this will say, okay, these are the working times and days. And it's important to note that it will be taken into consideration for the Process Explorer, Variant Explorer, and Throughput Time selections. And those are the built-in components that you have on the Solano Studio. So you can define the working time. So for instance, if a case was created on Friday at 4:55 p.m. and the next activity was Monday at 9:05, based on using these working days, you would only have about a 10-minute cycle time on that, throughput time on that, instead of having a 2-day and 10-minute. So that's kind of a nice way to do that. Name mapping. If there are tables that you want to have human readable versions of those, like codes or anything like that, you can set this up. This is enough for another video on itself, so I'll put one of those out in the coming days. And so you can see what mappings to have for the table mappings, if it's already in the table or if you need to upload one, things like that. So this was loading a data model. It brought you from creating it, adding the tables, setting up the activity table, and then setting up the case table. That's a good point. Last thing, setting up the case table. So you see how this case does not have a C button, like this has an A button. You can say assign case table and do video case. And that is now proper. Previously, it would make another table to have, and you would have 3 tables. So this is really important to make sure you do that. Alrighty, hope this was helpful. Please let us know if you have any questions, and have a great day.